You are listening to another AlwaysMoto production. The AlwaysMoto podcast with your host, David Hogan. This show contains information about injuries to riders competing in AMA Supercross, AMA Motocross, MXGP, Oz Pro MX, and other international moto events. The information discussed may be unsettling to some listeners. It might be incomplete or based on medical opinions due to riders tending to hide the details of their injuries. We are here to explain the information and increase injury understanding and visibility for the fans. There might be coarse language and the odd stuff up along the way. If any of this offends you, turn us off right now.
I'd like to remind you that he is not a doctor.
That's right, Moto fans. I'm not a doctor, but I am a physiotherapist, and this is episode 40 of the AlwaysMoto podcast. As always, I'm your host, David Hogan. We'll be joined later in the show by the AlwaysMoto contractor, Big Ben. But for now, let's welcome you to the AlwaysMoto podcast because we are in the depths of the clinic throwing strapping tape anywhere it will stick. As always on this show, we'll be going through all things injury in moto, because injuries are a part of moto, unfortunately. This week on the show, we'll be talking SuperMotocross that's about to start on the 7th of January. And we'll be talking the AlwaysMoto Fantasy League because Pulp MX Fantasy is back up and running to sign up to for 2023. And we will be doing the AlwaysMoto Fantasy League again. It's that time to start banging your head against the wall, people, when your team, it just sucks. But anyway, we're going to run AlwaysMoto Fantasy, so be making sure you joined back into the league if you're not already. We'll talk about that in the coming segments of the show. We'll be talking the SuperMotocross Emergency Department updates as well. We've got Dave's Diatribe, and we've got an interview this week. We're going to catch up with Derek Kelley from the AEO Powersports KTM. And we chat with him about his preseason training and his side hustle that he has. It's called Tru Fusion Recovery Products. But for now, bringing you this show is Polar Australia. Polar Australia and their incredible range of activity tracking and heart rate monitors, from the H10 chest strap that I use daily, and to their top-of-the-line GPS multi-sport watch, Polar Grid X Pro, which we are also currently using daily. My normal go-to is the Vantage, but we're currently in the middle of this Grid X Pro review, which you'll be seeing in the new year, which we'll have up on fullnoise.com. But those products are amazing, so make sure you get yourself some. And if you haven't already got, this is very last minute, you might be missing this depending on when you listen to it for a Christmas present. But Polar has a Christmas sale. Polar Australia has a Christmas sale going on. So if you need any last-minute Christmas gift ideas, or you want to update something for yourself, give yourself the gift direct from Polar Australia, jump over onto their website. The link is in the show notes. And get shopping over there on Polar Australia. You can update any of your products that you might already have, or you get yourself something new. You know, just treat yourself. It's a pretty good time to be doing it. So they've got that sale going, so why not? Also, thanks to Slantboard Guy. Don't forget, we have an affiliate deal in place with Slantboard Guy. They are offering 10% discount for AlwaysMoto podcast listeners. So if you want to get your squats on point in the gym, improve your standing technique on the bike with stronger legs, this is a simple piece of equipment is for you. Use the code AlwaysMoto in lowercase at checkout. And the link is also in the show notes. So please check that out. And it's also on our bio on our Instagram. But a bit of an update from the Slantboard guys. If you purchase something there in December and January using those codes, there is actually a special 15% discount that they are giving to AlwaysMoto listeners just for the months of December and January. So jump over there, check that link in the show notes, and get yourself a Slantboard guys Slantboard. As always, we still need your direct support of the show so that we can get to more of these races in 2023 and bring you some real insight and real content that is first-hand reports. So we need your support. We have some merch available. We've got AlwaysMoto t-shirts. They're available now. You can jump on and check them out. They are $25 plus postage and handling. It's in Australian dollars. We do have an international drop ship set up for our US-based listeners to help with that postage cost, keeping it down. They're black T-shirts. There's Always Moto logo front and center. We want you rocking them at your next race. Email us at alwaysmoto2019@gmail.com. Put T-shirt order in the subject line. Send us the size you want, and we'll be in touch about payment via PayPal and the delivery date. If you want to support the show as well, you can always, using that PayPal option, we can send a donation to Always Moto. Check out the links in our show notes, and you'll find the ability to do a PayPal donation. It supports the show, and it helps us get to these races, like we said, to get some more content going. All right, but that's the intro to the show, guys and girls. Thanks for listening, as always. It's enough intro talk. Let's jump into the show right now. All right, we're recording now, so we're jumping on. We've got the Always Moto contractor, Big Ben, who's still waiting for his paycheck. He's on the line with us now. Welcome, Ben.
Thank you, mate. How you going?
Good, mate. How's the run into Christmas going for you?
Yeah, it's not too bad. A bit of a quietish week at work, but yeah, it's all finished up now. So we've got 2 days, and
the drinks and relaxing, and a couple of presents here or there.
Yes, it will be nice, and then head down to the coast on Wednesday next week and relax for a bit.
Nice. You got some time off, mate, before the Supercross season kicks off, eh?
Yes, but it can't come quick enough. The time off will go quick, but the countdown to Supercross, it'll go slow.
Yeah, I think it was I don't know if you've seen that third episode of that SuperMotocross show that they're doing, but Daniel Blair was saying that there's a podium coming up. There's Christmas, New Year's, and Supercross is on top. So
yeah, I'll agree with that.
Exactly, yeah. So let's talk SuperMotocross and this start of the season. Been a few announcements this week about like TV packages and announcers and stuff, and we'll start with the announcers. They bring in back Lee Diffie, Todd Harris, Daniel Blair, and this is obviously a combined joint announcement. So I don't know how much this fits into like what Jason Wygant and like Jason Thomas are going to do, but they're obviously were part of the Motocross series coverage last year, but they're listed as part of this package, along with Ricky Carmichael, James Stewart, and Will Christensen. So, first thoughts on the group there? Is it what you expected, I gather?
Yeah, it's a bit similar to last year. If you've got Dan Hubbard and Daniel Blair as the pre-race, practice qualifying, and they cover all that, which is good. And then when you've got, the likes of Ricky Carmichael, and I think Daniel's going to also maybe commentate a few of the main races too. So when you've got them, and then along with Lee Diffie and Todd Harris, it's similar, but yeah, there'll be a little bit of difference to it, I think.
Yeah, I was kind of like, it doesn't really specify. They just got, the play-by-play announcers over the 31 rounds. And I kind of was hoping that, Todd Harris wouldn't be on that list. And I think in your comments before we started recording, you said similar. But I was hoping that Wygant might get a bit more of a go, or Blair would get a bit more of a go on the play-by-play for Supercross. But I don't see that. I don't know, with Lee Diffie and Todd Harris there, I see Daniel Blair is only getting maybe 1 or 2 goes again.
Yeah, no, well, Todd Harris, if you're going to commentate on the sport like he does and calls a rider by the wrong name continuously, you need to sort of have a look at that. But Blair's really good when he gets his turn, and same as Wygant, like when he does the motocross package, he's really good. His knowledge, he knows everything in the sport. But yeah, I'd like to see Blair get a few more goes than he did last year, but who knows? We'll just have to wait.
Yeah, that comment you made there about the getting the names wrong and stuff, that drives me insane on the Supercross coverage when they just can't tell you, it's on the screen, clear as day. There's a number and a color of the bike, and they're like, reading out the wrong name, and you're like, are you fucking watching the same thing that we're watching? Like, seriously, guys, pull your head out of your ass, look at the screen. You've probably got a list taped to the window or to the desk that's got the freaking rider name on it. Put the two together.
Yeah, and the problem is, like, they always talk about they've got that person talking in their ear saying, you've got this long, or talk about this, or, we're switching to this. How did they not tell him, and I'm sure Carmichael's sitting next to him going, what are you doing? But yeah, when you call someone by the wrong name, yeah, a lot of times, for me, I think that's probably enough to say, yeah, just don't come back next year.
Yeah, exactly. I wish they would sort of do that, but for whatever reason, these TV, higher ups seem to like those couple of people. They haven't gone just to the industry, like to the Wygants or the Blairs, because they're the industry commentators. They like those external ones still for some reason, but I hope they get away from that. Maybe that's next year. We'll see. If Blair and Wygant keep doing a good job, hopefully they just take over as the pair of them running the whole commentary for the whole thing. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think even still sometimes Carmichael will say things and you just think, yeah, like it's the racer in him. It's whereas when you've got someone like Wygant who doesn't race, you get more of a, I don't know, not a biased opinion, I guess. And I think with Blair as well, like he was a racer, but never sort of to the extent of what they're commentating on now. And he sort of gives you both. He gives you the bias, but then he's sort of like, if someone makes a move or like Barsha on Mookie or something like that, he's sort of like, yeah, he probably shouldn't have done that. But when it comes to Carmichael, he's sort of like, yeah, like he doesn't really say much. And I think I'd rather the Blair Wygant combination than Carmichael, but nothing against him. I've met him. He's a great bloke. But yeah, sometimes it's for the person watching, that's probably just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm similar. Like I don't feel like they do like Carmichael, and even like James Stewart when he did those couple end of last year, and like he's down as he's probably going to be on the motocross by the sound of it, as the the second chair sort of seat position. They sort of don't do it for me. Like they obviously know a lot of stuff about the sport, but in the commentary position, I don't think they're doing it as good a justice as like Wygant and Blair do when they pair up and do it together. Like, if you would have seen some of that Red Bull straight rhythm stuff. Like they were just talking the whole time and it was fantastic. Like, easy. You could listen to it the whole time. There was nothing you were sort of cringing at. They covered everything you wanted to hear. I don't know. I felt like Carmichael at times you sort of go, oh, really? He said that, but maybe he's still learning it.
Yeah, Wygant and Blair get on like a house on fire, and Red Bull Straight Rhythm was the first time they'd ever done anything on TV together, and you would never think that. So, they're a lot better than, but some people just have that chemistry and some don't. Like Todd Harris and Adam Cianciarulo did the last Supercross round together. And even you'd see AC looking at him like, what are you saying? Like, and AC is pretty good commentator, and he, when you get right, like someone like him, and it's difficult.
Yeah, I hope he too, in sort of like 5 or 10 years time when he finally stops racing, hopefully, I'm saying that because it's hopefully so far away because he's won something by that point. But yeah, AC would be awesome to have on the coverage eventually. Like he was fantastic those couple of times he did it.
Yeah, he's got a really good insight, and he's a lot like he loves the sport. He's so, he can ride, he can commentate on it. He watches, he'll watch everything more than once before he says anything. He's got really good insight into the sport, and that's what you need.
Yeah, definitely. And then so the next bit of this that's come out with all of it is the video package for us, and specifically for us international viewers. Their online platform thing again, which they've had in years past. And I have my little diatribe on this later on in the show, but at least it's out and it's about. It's pretty expensive for us. It's $159 or $159.99 US, which I think works out to be probably around $200 Australian. There is a little code if you get in before Christmas, so you've only got a couple of days. You can use SMX23 early, all in capitals, and get $30 US off. But what are your thoughts on how that's worked in the past for you, Ben? Like, I've had hit and miss goes with it. I've ended up watching it just on YouTube a lot of the time because I found it was easier to do. But how's it been for you?
Yeah, so this year will be the first time I've signed up for it, actually.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I've heard good and bad. Normally I watch it on Foxtel, and it was always live. And then the last few years, they've made it so they'll put a basketball game on or a baseball game or just a replay even of something that, doesn't really matter. When we've got Jet, we've got Hunter. This is even sort of going back to when Reed was still racing. We've got Aussies racing and Foxtel are still just playing replays. But you could go on the ESPN app and log in with your Foxtel details and watch it live. So I used to just Chromecast it to the TV and watch it that way. I've changed this year. So this will be the first time because all three, like you've got the playoffs, Supercross and Motocross all on the one, whereas Foxtel only usually show Supercross. So I've gone for this. So we'll see how it is. I think it'll be a lot better probably. All in the one spot. I know the Americans hate changing channels every 5 seconds over there when, one race will be on one channel and the other will be on another channel. But, let's just hope it's not a Flow Racing MAV TV
debacle of last year's outdoors.
Problem like last year.
Oh, that was horrible. But anyway, yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it is expensive for us. I think without the code, it's $260 or something. So when you've got the code, I think it takes it back down to $209. I think I paid for it, but
Jesus.
it is expensive, which is why I sort of just always stuck to the Foxtel because there's no point paying for two plans. But yeah, Foxtel have said they're not going to show it this year, so we've gone with the video pass.
Yeah, I feel like, and I sort of say this later on, but I feel like the international viewers just get a bit ripped off on these sorts of situations. Like it's like it's a second or an afterthought. Oh, here you go. You can watch it via this, but we'll make you pay through the nose through it, sort of thing. Like I'm not stoked on it. And when you see it, if it's the same as what has been in the years past, the part that pisses me off is when you get 5 minutes of stadium views while they got the American ads playing. So yeah, it's always fun.
Yeah, that's right. You can always see them doing track maintenance or something while the ads are on.
And anyway, but at least at least we can watch it, and hopefully, I'm hoping that because they're combining all three on the one platform, one, that it works, and two, that it just, where to go every time. You just, log on, it's on, you can put it on the screen, and you can sit down and watch it. Hopefully that makes it just simpler in that sense. So we'll see how it works out. But yeah, definitely use the code. Obviously, if you're going to be watching it, get in and use it before Christmas. I think it's Christmas Day is when they stop this one. So yeah, get in and save that money because it's a fairly expensive thing otherwise.
Yeah, it is. But I guess, that's 31 races, and that, you've got the heat races and LCQs and everything like that as well. But 31 races. It's expensive, but for us diehard fans, it's just what we've got to do.
Yeah, it's the only way to watch it, isn't it? So you got to cop it.
Yeah, either that or move to America where it's cheaper.
We could do that, but that might be more difficult on the expense of getting there in the first place.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Wanted to quickly shout out to a company that's got nothing to do with us at the moment here on the AlwaysMoto podcast, but they're doing some interesting work that's hopefully going to come out soon. It's called HealthTech, HealthTech. They're a company in Australia that is trying to build a sensor for your helmet to tell, the G-forces when you crash, so that you can tell whether it was a big impact, when you should sort of replace a helmet after a crash and all that sort of stuff. But they've got some little videos that they're starting to promote on their YouTube channel. And look, they're going to start cutting open a M2R helmet here in the next episode, I believe. So some interesting viewing. They just did one on removing cheek pads when it's an emergency. And their first one has a little bit of a snippet on the actual sensor itself that they've got, and just the little motherboard thing that they've got, microchip that they've got. So interesting viewing there. But yeah, guys and girls, go and check that out. Look up Helltech on YouTube and follow their videos along. It'll be something worth watching. Next on the list here, we're going to jump into our Pulp MX Fantasy and the AlwaysMoto Fantasy League. It's that time of year, unfortunately, to sign up to basically bang your head against the wall, Benny.
Yeah, that sounds about right. You can you go from hero to zero real quick, unfortunately.
Yeah, so we're running the AlwaysMoto Fantasy League again. We've got a few people on board again for some prizes. So we've got Coastal Motorcycle Centre again. They're graciously come on and they're going to be providing some gift cards again for the store, so some in-store credit. We've got Goat Brand MX, which is going to do some knee brace socks again. We have got some new additions this year is Thor Australia. They're going to provide some goggles for us for a prize. And we've got Michelin Australia. So they're going to provide some tubes for a set of tubes. So a front and rear set. So a 21 and an 18 or a 19, depending on your bike. So we've got some good prizes for the league, which is awesome. And obviously those coastal ones, you can pretty much buy anything they got in the shop. So, that makes it a pretty nice little prize there. So appreciate those guys being on board. Did you win anything last year, Ben?
I didn't win.
That was a loaded question, mate.
I finished 10th in the Supercross standings, but I was up in the top 5 at one stage. But when you have a bad score of 108 for as your worst round, that doesn't help. So I think I went from about 5th to 19th in 1 week, and then from then on it was comeback mode.
Just for relevance too, that 108 as a worst score for the round, there was only 3 that I'm looking at as I'm scrolling down that were worse than that for the other rounds. So yeah, it was a pretty bad round, that one, mate.
Yeah, no, and I am not even going to go back and look at who it was because I do not want to know.
Look, my worst was a 168, but look, your best killed my best. So my best was a 281, and I think your best, 324. So you got me well covered on the best scores, hence why you finished in front of me. I was only 15th in the league for Supercross. So yeah, I had a bit of I think I didn't go so well towards the second half of the year, which is usually how it goes for me. I'm like Ken Roxon. I start out all right, but then I fade off.
Yeah, and the problem is once you get sort of midway through and you see where you are and you're like, I really need to start just swinging for the fences. But even that never seems to work. You're better off just closing your eyes and picking someone, I think.
Yeah, sometimes it's just pick the ones that especially for Supercross, pick the ones you know are going to make the bloody main event.
Yeah, or you pick your team after qualifying. Yes, you will have to get up early because the races are always early. But if you watch qualifying, you watch practice, you look at someone and you think, yep, you just pick that team and you leave it and you don't change it. Sometimes that is better off as well.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's the one thing when those the West Coast rounds are on, so they're on the California side of things, they're the easy ones I find to pick for, which is obviously the start of the season why I do well, because you can actually look at those. Usually ends up being like morning like Sunday morning that you're looking at it, and the race is like Sunday lunchtime sort of thing for us here in Australia. So that works out all right because I'm actually alert at that point. I've woken up, I've had a chance to review the results and actually pick a decent team. It's when they go East Coast and those qualifying sessions finish at like, I don't know, 1, 2 a.m. or something stupid like that, our time. And it's like, I don't want to wake up at that point. Or even if I do, which I've done, I've set the alarm and got up, I don't think I compute. It just doesn't work. The brain's not functioning at that point. So I don't really pick too well at that stage.
No, and then you've also got the I'm not sure if it's good or it's bad, but if you then pay for the to see the picks by the pros, the expert picks sometimes don't work either. Sometimes I'll have a team that was really good and I'll look at the expert picks and I'll go, yeah, maybe I should change to that. And then race time comes and you're like, why? My team, I'm sure one of my things would have been like 380 last year if I hadn't changed it. And I looked at the expert picks and took one person out, and I don't even think they qualified. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Yep. Just what you want. Well, yeah, that's something to note here. So so you can join the AlwaysMoto Fantasy League. You've just got to join, you got to sign up onto the Pulp MX Fantasy game itself. You don't have to actually pay you can play for free on Pulp MX Fantasy, and you can then join the AlwaysMoto Fantasy League for free as well. So there's no cost in this, guys and girls out there. So you can join that way. You just need to join our league. You need our password, which is just injury in lowercase. So INJURY in lowercase, and that'll get you into our league. But then, yeah, if you wanted to get a bit more in depth, like Ben's saying, you can have those expert picks, it's like what Steve Mathers, Paul Perebinos, Dan Truman, Jason Thomas, and I think that's
and
it.
Travis Marks.
Oh, and Travis, that's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Are they going to? I'm surprised if they wouldn't be including Roto as well this year. But
Actually, no, I don't think Marks has his picks. I think maybe this year they're going to add that in. But yeah, Roto, yeah, I'm not sure.
it wouldn't be bad to see him. I actually check out his cheat sheets as well before I do my picks, because they're pretty good as well to see what you could potentially score on each rider as well. So I use them a fair bit. The other thing I was going to bring up too that you can also purchase is the mulligans. Now, have you purchased the mulligans before, Ben, or not?
No, I haven't. And that's mainly because I'm just Supercross / fantasy addict, and I will wake up at whatever time. Or
I thought you were going to say you were tied us or something like
that. No, Supercross comes first.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
And that's it. So I'm always over it. But yeah, no, if you want to, if you're away or unlike you, I know you got some, and they came in handy when.
Yeah, they came in big time handy for myself. So last year, obviously, when I had my accident, for those listening at home, I had a big accident. Didn't have a phone for nearly 3 weeks because I was laying in hospital bed. I turned up there pretty much naked except for the the hospital gown. That's all I had with me. So I didn't worry. I knew I'd bought the mulligans at the start of the year. And funnily enough, one of the rounds that I didn't pick, but the mulligan picked for me, I actually got fourth outright in the whole league. So it was well worth the $10 at that point to purchase it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you were covered, which is good.
Yeah, so as much as I'm a nut with this stuff too, and like to watch every race and all that stuff, there are some circumstances where the mulligan might come in handy. So yeah, and even if you wanted to, you could just maybe, if you're having an absolute shit week picking stuff and you can't figure out what to do, you could just clear your team and just let the mulligan do it for you instead. See what happens.
Yeah, and I think it also picks. It'll pick who, obviously. So if you pick the week before, you can't then pick that person the next week.
Yeah.
But I think it takes a pick from who you've got left and who the expert picks pick. I think
it does.
So
yeah.
you get a mix of and like you said, you got fourth overall. Anyone could get first if they were lucky.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all dependent on what you've picked the week before and what the experts picked that week, and yeah, it's a useful tool. So yeah, I think for the whole thing, if I signed up for the whole lot yesterday, and I think I paid about $90 Australian for the whole lot. So again, we talk about price and stuff. That's not too bad. I'm pretty all right with that one, considering the amount of work that goes into making this whole thing work every week. From pulp side of things, that's pretty good.
Yeah, no, and they put a lot of time into it. And I guess from where it was day one to where it is now, with the addition of the mulligans and the stuff like that, they've got the live timing and everything in it. Like there's Travis Marks has put a fair amount of work into it.
He definitely has. And I think it probably put a few grey hairs on his head at some point. But no, look, it's an awesome thing for us to play because of what he's done and what the rest of them put that content out as well week to week with their fantasy podcasts and stuff. And we'll have our own little chat about our league specifically. We're not going to cover anything that they're covering, but we're just going to have our own league chat as part of the AlwaysMoto podcast as well. So it's a bit of fun. But yeah, the whole point of this is to get you to join our league.
Yeah, and it was only, I asked you at the start of this year, you need to make one. You were like, oh, yeah, maybe not. And, I mean, looking at it now, we've got 34 people in it, and 32 of those actually played.
Yep.
And there's some well-known people in there as well.
Yeah, no, we got a good crop in there to start with, and yeah, we're just hoping to get this sort of out towards more than 100 at some point this year. So look, like you said, from you asking me if we were going to do it to actually getting it off the ground and getting some people to sponsor it last year as well, from nothing. It's going all right. It's a bit of fun. Get some prizes. Why not?
Yeah.
So yeah,
and you've got the big numbers man, Clinton. Is it Clinton Fowler?
It is Clinton. Yeah, 3 laps down, he's in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he did really well at the end of last year's motocross season. To be honest, he was doing crap all year until like the last 4 or 5 rounds, and then he won like everything. So
yeah, well, he finished 9th. I finished 8th, so yeah, it's not far off me.
He came home pretty strong, but he had horrible first rounds, and then he won. I think because I did a couple of we had a couple of weekly winner prizes at the end of the motocross season last year, and he won it like 3 out of the 5 times or something. So he killed it at the end of the season there.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's good to have. It's good to have the people in there to battle against, and like they say, if you're some races will just be boring, and you'll be like, but when you play fantasy, it's not boring.
No, exactly. And I'll give a quick shout out to the winner from last year's motocross as well, Digit 975, which is actually Cody Piscatelli, if anyone's following him on Instagram there. But he's already been asking if I was running the league again. I think he's just trying to get ready to cherry pick for a prize or something somewhere along the lines, because he got himself a nice helmet and goggles set up from Coastal last year when he won the outdoor season. So yeah, well done, mate.
Yeah, let's see if he can back it up. But he did get a national number, so
I do notice that on his profile there now. He's number 60, so he must have been doing pretty damn well overall.
Yeah, to get an overall number, it's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I'll be getting one of those to be anytime soon.
No, I swing for the fences too much once I have a bad week.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so that's the AlwaysMoto Fantasy League, everybody. So get on there, sign up, use the password injury in lowercase, and you'll be a part of the craziness that is Pulp MX Fantasy via the AlwaysMoto Fantasy League. All right, let's I think that's just about it for our opening segment here. I'm just going to double check the notes. We had we did mention as well the J-Mart crash, which we talk about later in the emergency department list. But thoughts on that, Ben? You seen it on the Club MX YouTube stuff there that happened? I think it was a week or so ago now that crash actually happened, but it's only come out this week on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, so the Club MX, like the behind the scenes and stuff they're doing is really good.
Yeah, I've been enjoying that, eh?
That's the sort of stuff, this is your podcast is sort of about the people hiding their injuries and stuff like that. And you don't really see much of a behind the scenes thing, but with the Club MX videos that are coming out, you get to see everything. And it showed his crash. It didn't look very nice.
No crashes, but yeah.
Yeah, no, they're not. But no, I'm not really sure what happened. But yeah, anytime that you go over the bars, it's never nice. And I think the foot peg got him in the leg too. So
that's what it sounded like from those comments about the cuts and stuff on his leg when they were doing that bit of the footage there. He's sitting on the ground. So yeah, it sounds like that might have been the main concern. But obviously, he had a bit of a jacked up, body from the impact, and everybody knows his history there as well with his spinal injuries from a few years ago. It wouldn't be something you want to be messing around with too much there. He's generally not fantastic in the spine as it is. No,
I think every time he hits the ground, he's probably like, I think the first thing he said was he got up and he was like, I can feel everything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's good to hear that. But it's never good when he hits the ground. And we've seen him flying through the air on multiple occasions, and you always just hold your breath because he's been through it all and anymore. And you'd think that it'd probably nearly make him have a decision that he might not do it anymore.
Yeah, if he did anything more to his spine, that might be the case. But yeah, look, at least this one, it sounds like he's going to be okay. They've already said that he's just going to shift from west to east. So, just give him a bit more time. Hopefully that doesn't mean that there was anything actually wrong. They just, I dare say it took a fair dent to his confidence. Because I don't know if you heard it, but that first comment he said when they first cut to him was like, what the hell happened, or something along those lines. So it's sort of a bit hard to understand, the crash and move on from it if you don't know what the frick went on in the first place. I'm speaking from experience there. That crash at Hattah for me is exactly the same scenario.
Yeah, well, when I crashed and I broke my arm and collarbone, and I don't even know how I did it. Like I can't remember what I did. So for them that are going probably 10 times faster than what we were going,
Yeah.
Although you maybe not so much, but you're going flat out on those desert tracks.
Yeah,
but,
that was pretty quick. But anyway.
You only got to hit your head or just have absolutely no idea why the bike's just dropped the front end, and you just get up and you go, it's not my fault, but. Yeah. What can you do?
Yeah, it just takes a hit to the confidence. It takes a good week or two for him to get that back, and obviously they just felt that it'd be better just to move him on, give him a week's rest or so, and let him race east. What difference is it going to make for him? Gets a couple more weeks of prep. He might actually be super solid by that point, so it might be beneficial. We'll have to wait and see when he rolls out for round 1 of the East Coast, eh?
Yeah, well, I think it's only 4 episodes, 4 races now, and then it switches, whereas it's usually longer. So, give him that little bit of extra time and it should be right.
Yeah, it's a bit different setup this year. They're not doing the 6 rounds and then the 7th round being East Coast. They're only doing 4. So it'll be a quicker turnaround for him. So, a couple of extra weeks, not that big of a difference really in the big scheme of it. So should be all good.
Yeah, and you put him on that coast. He doesn't have to battle Jet. It's.
I'm curious to see how many people are dodging Jet when we come to round 1. Who actually ends up being on the west and not? So.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you've got your top bloke and you're the team owner, do you go, we want him to race Jet and beat him? Like if you beat him, that's a big. Or do you just send them to the opposite coast against Hunter and go, well, Hunter can be a grenade at times, but he's still pretty quick. Who do you put your best guys with?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they all land when that finally, round 1 entry list, and not even the entry list because they enter them all on the bloody thing for Pro Circuit. When they finally roll on track.
Once qualifying starts.
Yeah, that's who you know is actually going in. So, we'll have to see what happens there, but be interesting to see. So, but yeah, that's pretty much the wrap for this intro part of the show. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back with some more stuff.
Hey, this is Brett Metcalf. You're listening to AlwaysMoto podcast.
All right, guys and girls, we're back. Let's jump into the emergency department for the SuperMotocross updates. The emergency department, all the injuries, all the gory details, and when they'll be back on track. It's the list you really don't want to be on. You do not want to be on this list, especially at this time of year. This is the worst point that you could probably be on this list because you are going to miss all the action of A1 and the opening rounds that is Supercross in the AMA series, and that would suck a lot because you miss out on all that extra publicity. Anyway, the list isn't too bad at this point in the year. It does have a few people on it. There's not too much update from the last week's episode that we did, and especially the list. The 2 people that we've got added to the list don't seem to be significant injuries, and we don't have super detail on them either. So we'll run through them. We'll get to them in a sec. But so still on the list, we've got obviously those ones from last time. Carson Mumford with that wrist fracture. Justin Rodbell with that Achilles rupture. He's going to be out for quite some time, unfortunately, for Justin. Brandon Hartraft, obviously those spinal injuries that he's had there, not good times for him, but obviously he's still getting better. Expected to have a decent recovery there. Kyle Greason, same thing with that, or similar thing with that burst fracture in his L3, so lumbar third vertebrae. He will be out for a little bit of time there. Garrett Marchbanks with that wrist fracture, but expected to be on the East Coast for those Club MX Team Yamaha guys. Noah Viney was going to be making his West Coast debut on the lights class at some point, I believe, but he broke a wrist, so he's out for the time being as well. The two new ones, there's sort of some mentions of these on some other shows at this point, and we've reached out to Tony Alessi for some update on this, but I haven't heard back from Tony yet. Vince Freeze is down as having an injury currently, but I'm not too sure on that one. Today, the Moto Concepts team announcements came out with Vince there down for the West Coast. So whatever it is that Vince has got mustn't be too significant, or he's almost already over it. If he's going to be racing West, he will definitely be doing West, because the team doesn't be doing the East at all, it seems. They're going to be doing all those World Supercross rounds instead. So I would expect Vince to be making an appearance at some point on the West Coast. Particularly, it might be A1, but we don't know yet. We're speculating at this point, unfortunately. We don't have any more info. And like I said, we've reached out to Tony Alessi, but no response as yet on some of those details. So maybe we'll hear some more of those things after the Christmas break. And the other one that came out this week, if you're any one of you guys and girls out there are watching those Club MX vlogs or YouTube video series that they've got going, the behind the scenes or something, I believe they're calling it, for the Club MX videos. They've been quite good. I've been keeping an eye on them. It's kind of funny watching Phil Nicoletti and J-Mart going at it. But J-Mart had a big crash that's in the episode, I believe it's episode 3 for those guys. He has a bit of an issue with an on-off and ends up hitting his butt on the ground pretty hard, and has now decided to switch coasts. So he's going to be, he was slated to ride the West. He's now going to be doing East. And that will be just to give him a little bit more time to recover from whatever it is that's going on with him. He might have just had to have a couple of days off the bike, which isn't ideal, obviously. Now, in that video, a couple of things I want to touch on that video. So one, obviously they caught up with him right away as he crashed. The guys are obviously videoing 24/7, it seems, over there. So they were on the spot pretty quickly, and he points out, my legs, comment about my legs. For Jeremy, for anyone who doesn't recall, he had that big spinal injury a few years back when he and Justin Cooper bumped bikes at Muddy Creek, and ended up him missing pretty much a whole year of action there. He's had some pretty significant spinal work done from surgery point of view. And for any time when you're going to bounce off your butt, all of that load is going to go straight up your spine. So for any point that then bounces that up, it's just an incredible amount of load that is going to impact on those fusion points that he's had done, because they're not going to move in the same way that they used to move now that they're fused together. And that's going to create some issues and just some variant pains that he wouldn't have been, you wouldn't have if you didn't have all that extra surgical work in there. But he got up, he walked off the track, so he didn't have any issues with those. The thing that he would have issues with is that all of that work is going to have been jolted. And that might be why he's had to have a few days off the bike to rest, repair, recover, all those sorts of things. He might have even had to go and get some x-rays just to check that all that surgical work is still in the same place that they left it. It's not uncommon when those sorts of, bigger jolts happen that you can actually dislodge or break something from a fusion, no matter whether it's your spine or wherever else, whichever other joint you've had fused. It can break loose with a bigger impact. Obviously, those fusions, they're not generally designed to go back into full combat sport and, face plant or land on your ass off and on-off or something along those lines, So it can be a bit of an impact, and I'm sure he's been checked out and he's all fine. But we'll find out more when we see that, episode 4, I gather, we'll probably be covering what's going on with Jeremy a bit more after that crash. So those are the two new guys there, Vince Freeze and Jeremy Martin, with some injury information there. We'll be keeping an eye on this over the next week or so in the lead up to A1, because unfortunately in past seasons, this is where we've had a few people join the list because, they try and ride on, some of them will ride on Christmas Day, some of them will ride on Boxing Day, some of them ride on New Year's Day. These guys don't really stop in this period, and as you'll hear when we're talking to Derek Kelley later in this episode of the AlwaysMoto podcast, he doesn't really have any days off planned. So there's going to be more guys still going at it in this period. And look, hopefully there's nobody that joins the list, but unfortunately, #injuries are a part of moto, and there's potential that they will join the list at some stage, which will suck, but it is what it is. The other thing we're going to keep an eye on, obviously heading into round 1 there, and that first race, will be who unfortunately gets the first injuries on race day, because it's a bit of a common theme years on past of guys having some major injuries on first practices. Will Hahn jumps to mind from 2011. Jimmy Albertson, same thing. There's some back from, I think it was 12, it would have been 13 with James Stewart when he was on the Suzuki doing an ACL in practice. There's been a few, unfortunately, over the years. So we're keeping an eye on that when we get to that point, and obviously recording all the injuries throughout the 2023 season. All right, that is the emergency department list for this episode 40 of Always Moto podcast. Let's jump into Dave's diatribe. Let's see if I can hit the right button here. This is Dave's diatribe. What's a diatribe? A diatribe is a forceful and bitter attack against someone or something. So keep your head down. You might be next. You could be next. Well, who's on the list today? Well, look, we talked earlier in this episode when we had the Always Moto contractor on about the upcoming Supermotocross video pass for the international viewers, which is, look, in general sense, it's great that we've got this access to this pass finally. We've had it in the years past, but it seems like this will be a bit of a better setup, and I hope it's a better setup. The diatribe part of this little bit here today is the fact of how shit it's been in years gone past. There's nothing quite like sitting through a whole 5 minutes of stadium views while they're having their American ads that, obviously we're international, they can't show them those. Surely they can do something better than the 5 minutes of, long just stadium views. Surely they could flick through, different camera points or something along those lines. The other part of it is that it always sucks if you go to rewatch the episode, you've got to essentially watch it from start to finish. There's no segments, they don't break it up into, all right, here's the heat race sections, here's the LCQs, or here's the mains, or here's the 250 main and the 450 main as separate little, video segments. They just leave it as one lump, and they leave those damn 5 minute, views of the ad while the ads are going on from the stadium roof in those bloody long videos. So you're sitting there and having to scroll through, and there's no 30 plus, like you do on Netflix, and you go 30, 30, 30, and you can fast forward it through. You're just sitting there trying to move the bloody little dial on the bottom on the rangefinder there to get the bloody thing to work. It's always pissed me off. I always wish they'd do something better with that, but it's just one of those cheap ass things that they've got the video there, so they think they're all good, and they're international, so they won't care. They're actually able to watch the Supercross. Which, guys, come on, pick up the game. Let's get some tech into this damn thing. You've got Peacock over there doing all this stuff. Why can't we have something? I don't even know what the Peacock thing looks like for you guys in America when you get to watch it through that. I would love to know if you guys actually have those sorts of things. The 30 plus advance or the segment sections of videos to watch it easier. Because if you don't, that sucks. Why can't we do that? This would be so much better if they could actually improve that viewing quality for everybody, not just the US-based listeners and viewers. Us Aussie people, we've got our Hunter and Jet Lawrence boys. We've got a bunch of other guys coming over there that are going to be racing. We want to see them just as much as we want to see the American and the other internationals. We want to be able to watch this with a bit of ease. Make it 21st century. We've got all these streaming services nowadays. Let's use the tech out there and get the damn thing so we can fast forward quick and easy when we're rewatching it. And let's skip those bloody 5 minute freaking views of the stadium while the ads are on. They piss me off to no end. All right, Dave's diatribe, done. Let's take a quick break on the show here, guys and girls. We'll be back with the interview with Derek Kelley.
Hi there, my name is Eldon Baker, and I'm from the Baker's Factory, and you're listening to Always Moto.
All right, joining us this week on the Always Moto podcast, he's calling in from the US, the West Coast. It's the number 41 on the AEO Power Sports KTM. It's Derek Kelley. Welcome to the show, Derek.
Thanks for having me on.
No, appreciate it, mate. I'm glad to have you. Things have been looking pretty good for you from what we've seen online for your preseason prep, and we believe you're heading West Coast here in a week or just over 2 weeks, isn't it? So, things look pretty good for you at the moment.
No, yeah, I mean, it's been a really good off season. Like I've been thankful to get through every day pretty smooth. I haven't had too many get offs, and we've just been staying really focused on working on the stuff that needs to get worked on, and not really pushing the envelope too much, but also, just fine tuning everything and getting faster every day.
So are you in that sort of like, are you still in a loaded week? Like this is the week before Christmas we're talking to you. Are you still on a full-on program to Christmas, and then you sort of start to taper off? Or what's your program look like for the next sort of 2 weeks in the run to the last few days before A1?
Yeah, so I've been working a lot with my physical trainer, Evan Nystrom. So we built a lot of strength here in the last few months. So it's kind of we took a different approach compared to the last 2 years we've been working together. So I did a little bit more powerlifting and kind of building that fat twitch muscle and doing some more in the gym stuff.
Yep.
And then also working on the bike. So last year I was riding 4 days a week, and I didn't have a lot of time or energy to do in the gym stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we kind of tapered back the riding just a bit to 3 days a week, and then I can kind of spread out my gym stuff in between. So we kind of built a more fuller program, and then I think that's worked really well. And then I think I'm not necessarily going to taper off, but I'm gonna do a little bit less gym stuff and a little bit more on the bike, longer motos, and kind of just fine tuning it's what you're like, on the bike fitness is more important than anything at this point. So
yeah, definitely.
You want to be strong on the bike. So we're going to maybe kick it up to 4 days a week and maybe do a little bit more cardio stuff instead of in the gym. But no, it's been really good.
So is there no real days off this year, seeing as Christmas is a Sunday, and then obviously New Year's doesn't really count for too much at this point for guys like yourself who are in full swing, prep mode? I gather there's not really too many days off here, until probably the Thursday before A1.
No, I mean, I'm getting plenty of rest and recovery, but it's definitely like I'm not going to take a week off or anything like that. Like
no.
We have our Supercross track, thankfully, so we don't really have to deal with any public track schedules or anything. So we pretty much can ride any day that we need to. And no, I mean, it's going to be, I'm probably going to take Christmas off, but I'll cycle in the morning and then do some stretch work and all that kind of stuff in between. So, I mean, I'll be riding Friday, and then we'll take Saturday, Sunday off, and then back to work on Monday.
Yeah, right. No, it doesn't really make much difference for you guys, does it, at this point? Like, you're a professional athlete. Christmas doesn't mean too much at this stage when the season's literally a few days away.
No, and I'm used to it. I mean, our schedule, especially during this time of year, is pretty slammed. So it's not a big deal. And I think I would get kind of bored sitting around for 2 weeks anyways, taking Christmas off. So I don't mind it too much. I mean, I live with my family still, so we see each other and we get plenty of time together. So It's not a big deal to keep on grinding.
Yeah, definitely. So have you been involved with all the Supercross, motocross, what do you call it, SuperMotocross media bits they had a week or two ago as well as part of this, or were you not involved with that stage?
No, they invited our team out, so we're fortunate enough to do that, and got a little bit of insight on what they're trying to do. They're still work in progress. So, I mean, it's more racing, and hopefully the financial aspect of it's better for us next year, and we're able to keep racing. Like the teams that I'm riding for, they're small budget teams, and they can't afford to pay me a whole lot of money. They put a really good program together for me, but the money I make in the races. So if that's better, then it's better for me, and I don't have to search elsewhere. Like this year, I had to go do some World Supercross to try to financially recoup what I spent on outdoors. So it's hopefully they got it together, and it's going to be good for next year.
Yeah, right. So for you, obviously the aim is try and qualify for that last 3 races then too, now with the way it's all set up, and I gather you're doing lights both indoors and out, so you can try and qualify for those last 3 rounds and make a bit more cash at the end there.
Definitely. It sounds like that's going to be the lucrative part of it. You're going to want to for sure be inside that top 20 for the final 3 rounds. But I mean, barring any major injuries, I shouldn't have too much of an issue. I think I was 13th overall in the TVD class. So I had a good margin to spare.
Yeah, right.
Last year they were to have it. So I'm not too stressed on that. I just want I'm honestly just looking for good results at every race I go to. I'm not really, I mean, obviously big picture matters, but I'm not real worried about at the end of the year, if that makes sense, like qualifying for it.
It'll be there when it be. You're probably going to be already, like you said, you should be in it no matter what, but you're just looking for, the individual results too, to try and make a bit more of a statement, I gather, this year.
Yeah, if I can get inside that top 5 consistently and possibly even knocking on the door for a podium in Supercross, that would be bigger than anything qualifying. You know, I ended up 15th in the year and then just riding out 15th. So I'm just trying to get some good results under my belt.
Nice. Yeah. And on that, Len, obviously you sound like you're shooting pretty high this year in terms of results. I gather the bike's feeling good and the team's got everything in place ready for you to go, here in 2 weeks' time.
Definitely. Yeah. I think this is the most prepared I've been coming into any Supercross season. I mean, obviously it's only my 3rd full year, but compared to years past, especially with the team, they took it really serious. We had a full test day. We did chassis and suspension and all that stuff. And the motor's really solid, especially with the new bike. Like, I was kind of nervous getting onto it, but I really gel well with the new chassis, and it fixed a lot of the issues I had with it last year. So I'm feeling really good on the bike, and my speed's better than it's ever been. So we just gotta keep fine tuning everything, and it all comes down to mental strength and having some good starts.
Yeah, this obviously the starts help, but yes, the mental part of this is the how you cope with everything on the race day, and you just do it like you would on the practice track, don't you? That's the trick, I guess.
Exactly. No, everybody says, like, if you can bring the practice game to the race, a lot of people would have some significantly better results. So I'm trying to bring my week game to the weekend.
Exactly. Yeah, we all know that guy that can kill most people on the weekday, but can't do anything on a race day. So, yeah, it's a definite skill to be able to do that on both aspects.
Yeah, for sure.
So how like you said, the bike, the chassis wise, the changes have improved. You were on the gas, wasn't it, last year? And then obviously you had the Suzuki for World Supercross. Is there much that was sort of took you a while to get used to switching over, like from those couple of bikes there? Like, how did that all go for you at the beginning?
I was on KTM last year.
It was KTM, was it? Sorry?
Yeah, it was the same chassis as gas, and I was on gas in 2021.
Ah, so, that's right. Sorry, yep. Got my years mixed up there.
No, it's very similar bike between the two, so it's basically interchangeable. But like, as far as your question goes, switching back and forth for the Suzuki and whatnot, I grew up riding different bikes all the time. Okay. And then, like, when I got on big bikes, I did a lot of testing for Cycle News magazine, so I would ride a different bike every week. So I'm fairly used to switching bikes, and it doesn't affect me too bad. So, I mean, when it comes to racing a bike, you give me a day, and by the end of the day, I'm pretty gelled with the bike, and I can go racing on it. So
it's a good skill to have.
Yeah, it's I'm very thankful for that, because there's a few riders that I've heard that struggle really bad with setup, and for me to be able to switch on a dime is huge sometimes.
Yeah, well, especially like if you for whatever reason, like guys having fill-in rides and stuff here and there too, like you would be easy to do that too, because like you said, you've ridden lots of test bikes for magazines. So yeah, that, like I said, it's a skill to have, because you don't want to just be trapped on one frame type or one model type, because that's where you feel most comfortable in terms of the how it all feels for cornering or whatever. Like, you want to be able to be jump on and feel pretty close to it with maybe just a couple of handlebar change or a grip change or something to make it more comfortable for you. But yeah,
exactly. Yeah. No, if you put me on a good bike, I'm fairly apt at switching and riding it. Like, if I get on a piece of junk, anybody's gonna ride it bad, but if it's a solid bike, I'm fairly able to transfer over pretty good.
Yeah, nice. Now, when we were in Melbourne for that World Supercross round, when we first got to catch up with you there, we had a nice little chat in the pits about your side gig here, the Tru Fusion Recovery products. But you were saying before you hit record that you probably don't have too much time for that when you're in professional athlete mode at this time of year. How's things with the side hustle?
No, it's definitely it's a huge thing that I'd love to grow, but like I said, being a full-time athlete, it's tough to kind of focus a lot of your time on that. And I don't I don't post as much about it as I should, because like a lot of the infrastructure in the background is not exactly what I'm looking for, but it's our main thing is recovery products and performance related supplements. So we're working on a hydration powder right now that's a lot better than anything on the market. And it's just tough. Like I said, like going full-time racing, it's tough to deal with manufacturers and calling people and setting up the website and taking pictures and all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely something that I can see growing really well. I just need to find some time for it.
Yeah, well, it's probably one of those things you'll find time when you stop racing, or when you're forced to stop for, hopefully you don't have any of this stuff happen, but injuries down the line, you might find that's when you get the most growth out of something, because you've got a month or whatever to focus on it. So yeah, it's tough when you're trying to train full time.
Exactly. No, and it's been a huge learning experience. So when I decided to step away from racing, I've learned a lot, and I've made some mistakes that hopefully won't cost me too much. Like I learned, like it didn't cost me too much, but I learned it already. So maybe down the road when I pull the trigger full time on it, I won't make those costly mistakes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. But you've also, by doing these things, you've had to deal with different manufacturers. You had to make those phone calls and set things up, and the business world side of things, that would be helping you with, making sponsorship deals and stuff for your racing as well. So like it's all crossing over, but yeah, it will help you down the line later on, won't it?
For sure.
Yeah. So is there, like, the products are still available, obviously? Like you've got a website or something going at the moment and people can still order. It's just that you're not maybe developing as such as you would like to be?
Yeah, so our website, it's full, ready to go. If somebody wanted to go purchase, we have a full lineup. We have a pain cream. It's like an icy hot kind of rapid cooling cream that's great for joint pain or any kind of injuries you have.
Yep.
And then we have a muscle cream that is great for injuries and bruise. Like if you have a real bad bruise, it helps get a lot of blood flow into your muscles and helps like heal you, basically. It's like our healing cream.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a bath soak that is unlike anything on the market. Like it's Epsom salt, Dead Sea salt, and arnica infused with essential oils. So like I use that nearly every week for recovery if I have a hard work week, or if I have a tip over and it bangs me up. It's like a full reset.
So
that's a really awesome
chilling
product.
Just chilling in the bathtub, later in the night with dropping in your bath bomb or something.
Exactly. Like, I mean, it's self-treatment. Like I'll be like my own little spa. I'll throw
turn the lights down low. Yeah.
Light a candle,
Yeah,
turn
exactly.
on some music.
Yeah.
No, it sounds corny, but it really works, and I don't push anything that I don't use myself. So like all this stuff, you can check out our website, trufusionsports.com. It's TRUFUSION sports.com. So
nice.
Yep. We have a mini massage gun, and I also made a muscle foam, so like a performance. It helps with arm pump and muscle cramping. So it's a magnesium foam. It's actually like,
oh, that's what you're using in the pits at Melbourne, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think I showed you that product.
Yeah,
it's pretty nice. Like right now we only have a limited supply, so if everybody buys it out, I think I only have like 50 of them. But I actually made it myself, so it's pretty awesome. Like it helps me a lot. Like I use it every time I ride and every time I race, and it really just helps keep your muscles open and prevents cramping and arm pump. Like obviously there's a lot more that goes into arm pump than just throwing on a foam. So I don't want to make that claim that, this your arm pump. But when it comes from like a professional racer, like I use it, and I notice a huge difference with it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you touched on a bit there that sort of was what caught me out when we were talking in Melbourne, was that you're there sort of as the chemist mixing this stuff up at home as well. Like that was the part that sort of really intrigued me, that you'd taken it to that level where you were understanding what was going in and out of it, not just paying somebody to put, you can then slap a label on and sell. You were actually understanding the ingredients, how much and where and why and what it did. So yeah, that part was really cool.
It's pretty trippy. Like when you start kind of diving into that stuff and searching the internet, you can almost learn anything yourself. like if you put the effort into it.
Yeah.
Like I just, and it's not necessarily like a plug and play kind of thing. Like you don't just search up, how do you make this product? And it pops up. Like you have to go in different routes. And like I was watching, like people make makeup. Like I learned a lot of formulating stuff through people making homemade makeup and dealing with stuff. There's different ways to learn stuff, and I learned a lot just from that. And I've created a hydration powder that we're working on getting manufactured and sourced right now. So it's a really cool thing to mess with, and I feel like if I had a lot more time, I could really get it going. But kind of a side gig.
Keep it in the works and just keep ticking it away. It'll build itself, and if you get good results and you're standing up there with Tru Fusion logos on as well, that'll probably help as well this year. So you never know where it'll go.
Definitely, yeah. I try to throw it out there every time I get a chance to get on a podcast. I think that a lot of the people that listen to these are pretty into the sport, so yes. It's definitely good to have that fan base and that I guess consumer base that's really into the sport and listens to this kind of stuff. So I mean, you can throw an ad out on Instagram or whatever, and you're going to get maybe somebody to buy it, but they won't really understand it or won't follow it as closely as somebody that heard it through word of mouth anyways.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's sort of why, brought up those bits about you making it and stuff yourself, because there's a bit more investment in it from your side that, you're, like we said, you're not just slapping a label on something and calling it your own. You're actually building it, from nothing at times. So yeah, it's I think like you said, the podcast listeners and the motos people in general will get more out of it, from hearing that direct from you as well. So, and they'll cherish the product more in that sense and understand its use better. So yeah, an ad purchaser just purchase it because they saw it 10 times, so.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, awesome. Well, man, look, it's been great to catch up with you again here, ready before A1. Have you got any predictions on yourself for A1 as to what you want to get out of it before we go?
I mean, I could throw a number on it, but I just want to. I've been riding on it, like riding during the week. Like I said, I think that if we put it all together and I ride to my potential, it's gonna be pretty awesome. Like I don't want to go into it saying, oh, I'm going to go win or whatever. Obviously that would take some gifts, but I feel like I have a really good chance of putting in some solid results and getting up there and battling with those guys.
Yeah, no, I think so as well. From just seeing how your riding has been in the videos we've seen online, man, you're definitely looking comfortable and that usually translates well. So yeah, just got to turn up and see where it ends up. But looking good at this stage. Hopefully we can, catch up with you during the year, and hopefully you can tell us that it's been an exceptional year, mate.
Great. Thank you.
No, I appreciate it, Derek. Thanks for joining us on the AlwaysMoto podcast.
Sounds good. Thanks, David.
That was a great interview there with Derek Kelley. We appreciate his time on the AlwaysMoto podcast. And a couple of interesting things there to note. We were speaking to Derek a little bit further afterwards, and obviously Derek's been a contentious pick in fantasy leagues recent times because he had some inabilities to finish races in his rookie year there. But when I spoke to him a bit further after the call, there was some interesting information that he said that he's learnt over the years and through his Tru Fusion brand that he is now doing things differently from his body prep in terms of supplements and what he's using and when and how often he's using these things. And I think you'll find this year is going to be a really good year for Derek Kelley. Just from the information we spoke about, that it might not be all through that interview there, but he is looking like things will be on the up and up for 2023. So awesome to have him on the AlwaysMoto podcast. But that's it for now. That's the last show for 2022. Thanks for being a part of the AlwaysMoto podcast, guys and girls. We really appreciate your support. But as always, please order a t-shirt to support the show. Get it as a Christmas present. Get it as a present for any day of the week. Just get one of those shirts and order it. Email us at alwaysmoto2019@gmail.com. Follow us on social media to stay up to date with all things injury in moto. Search AlwaysMoto and then follow and subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast feed. If your app allows, please leave us a rating, preferably 5-star. Don't forget to check out all of our written articles over on fullnoise.com.au. But that's it for another show, guys and girls. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We'll see you back here before A1. Thanks to Polar Australia. Thanks to Slantboard Guy for the show support. Remember, you've got to be smooth to be fast, because if you're not, I'll probably be seeing you deep in the emergency department, maybe even the clinic, having strapping tape thrown wherever it sticks. Merry Christmas, everybody.